Hi there, I'm Chihiro from Japan. Welcome back to the program. Let's learn a life lesson from a story together. As I told you last time, I would like to introduce a story from the Talmud today. Although Jewish people are excellent, they have a history of many hardships, such as the confiscation of their property and being forced to leave their lands. That's why they have come to value things without shapes, such as education and knowledge. Things will break someday. Money can be stolen. But knowledge cannot be taken by anyone or disappear. Even today, Jewish people cherish the teaching of the Talmud so much that they continue to read them throughout their lives. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. Let's get started then. Let me introduce two of my favorite stories. The first one is The Magic Pomegranate. Once upon a time, there lived three brothers that get along well. When they reached adulthood, they made a promise to each other. Let's each go to a different place for the next 10 years to train ourselves. Then bring back the most mysterious thing we find during that period and then show it to each other. That was what they promised. The eldest brother went east and bought a mysterious glass cup that you can see every corner of the world from a traveler. The second brother went west and bought a magic carpet that could fly higher and faster than the birds. The youngest brother went south. As he walked through the forest, he found a strange pomegranate tree. The tree had many flowers but only one fruit. The moment he picked that one fruit, one of the blossoms suddenly turned into a fruit. The youngest brother thought, "This pomegranate tree is the most mysterious thing in the world." And he tried to take it home. However, the moment he thought of that, the pomegranate tree itself disappeared. The youngest brother thought it was mysterious and decided to bring back the fruit in his hand. 10 years later, the three brothers reunited and showed each other the mysterious things they had brought back. The oldest brother brought back a glass cup that enables you to see every corner of the world. When the brothers looked into it, they saw a princess who was seriously ill and lying in bed. Beside her bed, the king was lamenting and saying, "Somebody help her." Seeing this, the three brothers got on the magic carpet that the second brother had brought back and flew to the princess. When they arrived, the youngest brother split the mysterious pomegranate in half and offered it to the princess to eat. The princess, who couldn't even walk, soon recovered. The king was so impressed that he said to the three brothers, "Thanks to you three, the princess has recovered from her serious illness. Any of you may marry her. Just talk over within the three of you and decide." Then the princess came in and said, "Wait a minute, let me ask three of you a question." And then, well, this is the story. What do you think, everyone? What in the world would the princess ask? Which of the three brothers do you think she will marry? The story continues, but let's stop and think for a while. This is a story about what kind of person can achieve success. The one who marries the princess symbolizes the one who achieves success. Is that someone like the oldest brother who can spot problems? Is that someone like the second brother who can act quickly? Is that someone like the youngest brother who can solve problems directly? Or do you have any different points of view? If you were to take the perspective of the princess, what kind of person would you like to give success to? What kind of questions would you ask and what would you check? Let's go back to the story now. We are going to look to the end of the story. The princess asked the oldest brother the following question. You found my serious illness in a glass cup that could see every corner of the world. Is the cup still intact? The oldest brother replied, Yes, it is still the same. It still works. The princess then asked the second brother, You came to me on a magic carpet. Can the carpet still fly? The second brother replied, Yes, it is still the same. It still flies. Finally, the princess asked the youngest brother, You cured my illness by feeding me the pomegranate. Is the pomegranate still the same as before? The youngest brother answered, No, as I gave you half of it, now only the other half remains. Then the princess said, I will be married to the youngest of you three. He lost half of his precious pomegranates for me. This is the end. The story is meant to convey the main principle that without sacrifice, there can be no success. This story is based on the historical fact that Jewish people who were enslaved in Egypt gave up everything to escape from Egypt. Jewish people believed that their greatest sacrifice made them who they are today. Isn't this amazing? I guess most of you would think, I'm willing to give it all up only if it guarantees success. On the other hand, the youngest brother did the opposite. He made a sacrifice based on his own beliefs without a guarantee of getting something. How about the oldest and the second oldest brother? What if somebody tells them, if you go to the princess, you won't be able to use the magical cup or the carpet. There's no guarantee that you can get married to the princess. Under such circumstances, the oldest brother and the second brother might not have gone to the princess because they want to keep the glass cup and the magic carpet in use for a long time to come. Giving something away first where there are no guarantees. In that way, the pain will help you to attract even greater success. That was what the story was telling us. The next story is The Sparrow with the Golden Crown. King Solomon is the most famous king of Judea. Riding on the back of an eagle, King Solomon flew into the sky and inspected every corner of his kingdom. One day, when King Solomon was flying on the back of an eagle to a faraway land, he suddenly felt sick and almost fell off the eagle. At that moment, sparrows came and supported him so that he wouldn't fall off the eagle's back. King Solomon was so grateful that he said, "I will give you sparrows whatever you want." The sparrows all argued about what they would get from the king. They could get a vineyard where they could hide forever, or a pond where they could always drink water. Amid the discussion, the following opinion came up. It would be proud and cool to fly with a gold crown, just like King Solomon's. Then all the sparrows said, "That's a great idea," and agreed unanimously. When the representative of the sparrows went to King Solomon and said, "Please give us gold crowns just like yours," the king replied, "It's not a very good idea. Why don't you reconsider?" But the sparrow again said, "No, by all means, give gold crowns to all of us." In the end, King Solomon said, "If you insist, I have no choice." Then he granted the sparrow's wish and gave gold crowns to all of them. Well, that's not the end of the story, but let's pause for a moment and think. Why did King Solomon say, "It's not a good idea"? In Jewish culture, parents ask questions to their children while telling a story, just like this. Why did the king say that it wasn't a good idea? What should the sparrows have received? Now, let's listen to the rest of the story. The sparrows who had been given gold crowns by King Solomon flew around the sky with great joy and pride. Although hunters had paid no attention to sparrows until that time, the gold crowns caught hunters' eye and most of the sparrows were shot down. At last, there were only 5 sparrows left. The 5 remaining sparrows, barely alive, went to the king and said, "We were wrong. We don't want the gold crowns anymore." Then the gold crowns were removed, and the sparrows were able to restore peace gradually. That's the end of the story. This story is to convey the main principle that showing off your possessions will destroy you. So many people, now and in the past, have fallen into this trap. The common denominator of those people is that they are all unaware of it. They have no idea that they can be targeted by showing off their wealth. They are not aware that they are just sparrows and that they are vulnerable. Therefore, in the end, they will be targeted by hunters who are stronger than they are and end up losing the property which they have acquired. The property you show off will always be targeted by others. Aren't you wearing brand name things and driving luxury cars? Aren't you trying to gain a sense of superiority by showing off your possessions instead of your satisfaction? I hope you will all pause for a moment and ask yourself, aren't I a sparrow with a golden crown on my head? The sparrows in this story end up taking off their crowns, saying, I don't want this anymore. But in reality, some people cling to their crowns until they lose their lives. I'd like to add one more thing. The sparrows did nothing wrong. They just worked hard to support the king who was about to fall. They were rewarded for that fact. If that was all, it's a wonderful story, isn't it? Despite their good deed, why were the sparrows driven to the point where the number of them was reduced to 5? It was not just because they flaunted their wealth. Actually, there is another reason. The reason is that the reward was inappropriate. A sparrow has its own happiness. As they were discussing at the beginning, they could receive a vineyard where they can hide at any time, or a pond where they can drink water whenever they want as a reward for their work. In that case, they would have had a better quality of life and could have lived in peace. It is important to keep in mind that receiving more reward than you deserve can also be a cause of ruin. How about you? Do you envy the gold-crowned sparrows around you? Some of you may think that you have to wear a gold crown just like other sparrows. What do you think? I hope this story will make you reconfirm what is the essence of life. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. Well, that's about it for today's episode. How was it? I hope your life shines even brighter. Let's talk about life, time, Buddhism, love, and many other things together in the following episode. Please subscribe to our channel. Have a great time and keep on smiling. Thank you for listening till the end. See you soon.